Okay, so we do set our own Moxi URLs. So this is going to be the case for every agent, even if they decide to use a vanity domain that they purchase via Google or GoDaddy. The initial setup for a new agent's website is to set the URL. So when we go into Moxi, which we know we want to go into desk first, click on MoxiWorks. That will load our MoxiWorks platform. Now you cannot do this as an admin, unfortunately. You have to be logged in as the agent. So you either ask for proxy from the agent, which we know if you go to the left and go to account settings, account access, control access to your account manage, and you can invite people to proxy to your site. You can also request it from the agent so that they don't have to go into their own site. So you can do this if you're proxied as an agent, but you cannot do it from your admin site. You have to be in as the agent, either logged in as them because you're sitting with them, you got into desk using their two-factor, and you get into Moxi that way, or they've allowed you to have proxy and you go in and proxy as the agent. That's the only two ways that we can do this for the agents. So it's very prudent that we help them with this process, because if we don't, they're not quite sure first how to do it, or second, exactly the naming parameter that we would like to stick to. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So that is how you can give access and get access to accounts over in account settings and account access. So we're going to go back to the main page. So this is what it would look like. You're in as the agent. And yes, that is a fake name. So you're in as an agent. And when you go in the upper right corner, you'll see where that has the little caution sign next to website. That means it hasn't been set up yet. So you either want to go into account and then website, or if you click on my website, same steps will happen either way. So the first screen that pops up, and if it doesn't pop up, make sure your pop-up blocker is not on. So this screen will pop up. And it gives you a little bit of information, of course, and it says create a new website. This is step one. Agents, we need to help the agents do this. And again, you have to be in as them. You cannot be in your administrative account to do this. So either proxy or logged in as them. And you click create a new website. That will open up a new screen. Now, if we brought over a team, you do have that option right here. You can always go back at a later date in the website builder and change it to a team website. But if coming in, you know that they're going to be a team, you can choose team website right here. That changes things like my bio to our bio and about me to about us. So it doesn't necessarily do a whole lot for the team, but it does change some of that wording parameter. So it is a team and not an individual. So you do have that option right here. This is where you need to put in the naming parameter right here. Now, depending on which region you sit, it's either going to be CB Great Lakes, CB Schmidt, Ohio, CB Schmidt FOC, CB Sunstar, CB Paradise, CBPP Homes. You get the picture. So this is always going to stay the same based on the region in which you sit. The box here is where we get the option to name the URL for the agent. Now, we do have a standard naming parameter that we really ask for you guys when you're helping your agent set this up to stick by. And that is first name dash last name. You don't have to worry about the period or anything after. You can see it's kind of right there already for you. So it is first dash last dot, and the dot in the CB Great Lakes or whatever your URL is comes in for you. Now, the reason why we want to keep that naming parameter the same is twofold. First of all, when you need to go back into account tech to put that URL in there so that it will mark it on our websites, and I'll show you that in a second. It's really hard to guess if an agent is using just something randomly, like I Sell Homes or Florida Rocks or Michigan's Awesome or whatever it might be. So we really want to make sure that we know what the agent's URLs are using, because the only way to know is to log in as them again, and it'll show you in the website builder. The second reason why it's important to stick to that naming parameter is if, probably when, because technology changes. So if we ever migrate to a new website provider, so those of you that have been here for a little bit, remember we went from Where to Live / Lone Wolf over to Moxi because the Lone Wolf product was sunsetting, it aged out. We had to migrate over to Moxi. But because we don't want to change our agents' URLs because they're marketing them, they have business cards, they have postcards, they have flyers, they have listing presentations. We want to make sure that our websites are going to be able to be migrated. The easiest way to do that is to keep the naming parameters the same. And that's a whole lot of technology that I don't even know how to do, but all of the engineers that help us migrate these sites, they have a way of doing it at a one-time dump, not individually. So if we don't keep the naming parameter the same, when we go to migrate in, let's hope 5 to 7 to 10 years, hopefully no time soon, but if and when we ever do that, having that naming parameter the same will be super helpful. Now, if you have a Joseph and he wants Joe, or if you have an Elizabeth and she wants Beth, that's okay. You can do their familiar name as the first name. Now, if you have somebody that has a last name longer than the alphabet, and nobody can ever spell it and they really go by a shortened name, we can make those one-off decisions. It's okay. We do have some flexibility, but for the 95% of the time, we do want to keep it first dash last. Now, if you have an agent and you just set it up with Kelly Sells Florida, and that's okay. You don't have to go back. You don't have to go to Moxi support. You can't really change it without support. So it's okay. But moving forward, we're highly, highly encouraging it to be first dash last. And again, if you have an agent asking for something outside of that, if it's familiar name, again, that's okay. But if it's something a little bit different and you're not sure, just go to your managers, talk it through with your managers. If they have any questions, they can reach out to Paul or Kelly or myself, but we really want to keep that naming parameter the same. So again, it's first dash last, and then the system fills in the rest. And then you click check. The reason why you want to check is because if it's already taken, so if we've got 14 John Does, it's not going to be available. But you can see I got a green, the site name, blah, 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 is available. So now you want to click submit. Now this is a fake account, of course, for training purposes only, so I will be deleting it. Now it says new website creation tool. Your site has been created successfully. Now you can click go to site. So if you are working diligently on getting your agent's URLs into Account Tech, and again, I'll show you that in a second, and you don't know what it is, and they don't know what it is, have them sit down, have them log into their desk, have them go to Moxi, because once you get here, I got to go ahead and accept the terms of use. Once you get into the website builder, the admin tool, up here, it'll show you what the URL is. So if they said it when they first started and they're like, man, don't remember what I did, have them log in. They'll go to Moxi. They'll go up here to where it says my website. The website admin tool will pop up, and whatever is in this top URL bar, that's their URL. So if they don't know and you can't guess it because it's not our naming parameter, there is a way to retrieve it. Again, you have to either be logged in as them or proxied as them in Moxi. So once we have that set, again, first dash last, this will be their URL. Now, if they bought that vanity domain, they went to GoDaddy and they bought emilywalsh.com, that is when they want to go through right here and make your set up vanity domain. So it's a whole nother training. We have it in Moxi Monday playlist if they're interested, but we're not going to talk about that this morning. But once it's set the first time using our naming parameters, they can then go in and use their vanity domains should they choose to. Now, I do have a question, so give me a moment here while I take a look at that. Yes, Michelle, that's a known issue. So if you guys joined JD a few weeks back about the nickname parameter or putting the familiar name in, if you put the familiar name in dash, it doesn't come through to Account Tech. It should come through as the nickname, like JD's training was a few weeks ago. If it's not giving you that option, send it over to me, Michelle, and we'll open a ticket, because JD did have another agent that was happening to. And I don't know if he's on, but I don't know if we got a resolution to that ticket. So if that's,
I have a meeting with Jeannie this afternoon for an update. So
oh, perfect. Thanks.
a bunch.
Okay, yeah, Michelle, get that over to JD and myself, and we'll add that to that conversation. Well, since you're on, JD, if I'm misspeaking or if you want to add anything, feel free to jump in.
Oh, I've got nothing. You've been killing it.
All right, well, we're going to go through our last step, and then we'll let you guys get back at it. So again, once we know what the naming parameter is, we do need to get that put into Account Tech, because that does automatically feed over to our Moxi brokerage sites. So for example, just because my fake account's in Michigan, if you go to agents and offices and you go on an agent and you see where it doesn't say website, that's because it's not in Account Tech. It does have to be done by a staff member. If we go to, let's find one here. So Deb Alexander, you can see where it says website and profile, where this person doesn't have that. It's because it's not an account tech. Unfortunately, the agent can't even put it into their Moxi account. It has to go into account tech. So in Darwin Cloud, when you go to the people tab and you pull up your agent, you find their agent account right here where it says URL, right on the people basics page, that's where you need to put the URL. So let me go back and grab it. And if you're in the website builder, again, it's this whole first part here of that admin tool. Copy that, Control C, Command C, depending on what kind of system you're on. Go to the URL and paste that. This spot and this spot only is what's going to feed this right here. Does have to be a Moxi site. If it's not a Moxi site, even if it's a vanity domain, that's okay, but it has to be a Moxi site. We've learned that lesson. It can't be built by Luxury Presence or any of the other website builders. It has to be a Moxi site to feed that. But the good news is every agent we have has a free Moxi site. So we just need to make sure that we're either logging in as them or proxying as them so that we can get what that naming website is. Again, no need to retro back. If you've set one up and it's not first dash last, don't worry about it. But again, moving forward, we highly encourage for the ASCs, the RSCs, the agent onboarding specialist, the manager, whoever in your region does that, to sit with the agent or do it to them prior to them logging in so that we can make sure that we are naming it the way that we want to, for those two reasons that I mentioned, both so that we know what it is and we're not trying to guess, and two, so that when we migrate, we'll have a better control of the sites and it'll be an easier process to migrate those for the agents. Oh, that was a lot. So what questions do you guys have? Again, if you're not responsible for doing this with your agents, that's okay, but it's really good information so that you can have that conversation with your managers or whoever in your region is doing your agent onboarding.
Good morning.
Morning.
I joined a little late, so I have one question. Our agents already have Moxi websites. Can they just transport them over, or do they have to change their URL?
So Grit, in your particular case, they being the Coldwell Banker brand, they're migrating the agent's websites over, so they should not have to change it.
Okay.
I haven't gotten an update if the migration's done yet. So I'll get an update for you on that, but they should be okay. They should be migrating that for us.
So for our office, that would just be for the new agents.
Yes. So when you're new
Okay.
age, when you hire anybody moving forward, now that you're a
Right.
member of the Schmidt family of companies, this is what you would do.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Wonderful. Any other questions? Awkward 8-second pause. Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much for your time today. Again, if this is something that you only do once every other month because you just don't get that many new agents and you don't remember, don't ever hesitate to reach out. It's easier to ask the questions before we set the profiles. So thanks so much, everyone. Appreciate your time today. Bye now.